What is up, everyone? It's me, Dan, here, and today we are here with my review for Arrow 618, otherwise entitled Fundamentals. Now, this was a very anticipated episode. Stephen Amell had posted a lot of stuff on social media regarding this episode, what was going to be in it, stuff he was teasing online. He even posted pictures of previous Green Arrow suits, so everyone was very looking forward to this episode, and right off the bat, I'm just going to say it right now, this is the best episode of Arrow this season. Easily, for one main reason, which I will get into. But yeah, right off the bat, this episode was absolutely amazing, so let's talk about it. So the story for this episode is that Oliver is currently facing impeachment after what he did last episode, which was when he fired his district attorney and the chief of police. And they are now trying to say that the reason that Oliver did this is because he's covering up for the fact that he is the Green Arrow. So he has an impeachment meeting with a bunch of city officials. However, during this, he manages to somehow get drugged with vertigo, and he starts to see hallucinations that start to make him question if this whole journey that he has been on has been worth it, and whether he has actually gone soft over the years, and whether he needs to resort to old methods to get the job done. Now, I'm just going to say this immediately right off the bat, because I know this is obviously a spoiler review. Spoilers if you haven't seen the episode, but I have to talk about this. Adrian Chase was back in this episode. Now, obviously, he's dead, but he comes back in the form of a hallucination to Oliver while he's being injected with vertigo, and oh my god, when I saw him on screen, I literally cheered. It was amazing. And Josh Segarra, man, I have missed this guy so much. Watching this episode made me realize how much I have missed his presence on Arrow and how much I loved season 5. He was amazing in this episode. I mean, the fight that he had with Oliver at the beginning of the episode was really good, but it was the interactions between him and Oliver that were amazing. Having Prometheus be this reminder to Oliver that his past has come back to haunt him, and how he's, failing, he looks like he could be leaving as mayor. He could be exposed to the Green Arrow. And, earlier on in the episode, he has a fight with William and Felicity, and while Oliver's drugged up on vertigo, he thinks Felicity wants to break up with him and all that stuff. And just the way that Chase played into Oliver's mind, kind of like he did throughout season 5, was so amazing to see. I mean, Josh Segarra and Stephen Amell have amazing chemistry together, and what I really liked was the fact that he was actually in the whole episode. Like, he was in that scene in the Arrow Cave, or Arrow Base, whatever it's called, and I was worried that was going to be the only time that we'd see him in the whole episode, but he actually kept on popping up. At one point, he was even with the city officials in the impeachment meeting, and it made me laugh so much. But honestly, I loved him in this episode. It was amazing. I have a worry that this might be the final time that we see him. I certainly hope it isn't. I would love to see him show up again in a small cameo appearance, but I loved him in this episode. Absolutely amazing. Josh Segarra, definitely the MVP of the week. Second place, I would say, was definitely Stephen Amell, because Stephen Amell had a really good episode. He had a lot of emotions. It was very much an Oliver-centric episode. He was in pretty much every scene of the episode, apart from really the last scene, which I'll get onto in a bit. But Oliver was great in this episode, and what I liked was how it showed his evolution from season 1, when he was all about the list and the mission, to this person who has managed to open up. He's now the mayor, he's now a father, he has a wife, he's managed to get other people onto his team, and just showing that evolution, especially in one scene where they have, like, season 1 Oliver as the Hood. Well, obviously he's on vertigo, he sees him, and you have this visual representation of how much Oliver has changed, and it was so cool to see. And I just liked the character development they did with Oliver in this episode, because people could criticize this episode for not progressing the plot as much, but this was very much a character driven episode about exploring Oliver's psyche and what he's thinking at the moment. And I just thought it was really cool to see, and it was really interesting. Probably some of the best writing I've seen on Arrow for quite some time. And then, of course, we had the return of the season 1 to 3 suit. I loved this costume so much, and right at the start of the episode, you have an amazing action scene where Oliver is in that suit, going through, SCPD, beating up a load of the cops that are on Diaz's payroll, and it was amazing. The only one question I have, though, was how did Oliver get the suit? Because I'm pretty sure at the end of Season 3, it was sent to SCPD lockup, and the old SCPD building was blown up at the start of Season 1, from what I remember correctly. So how did Oliver get his hands on it? I mean, I was waiting in the episode for like some quote, you know, along the lines of, oh, Lance got it for me, or hell, even Dinah got it for me, because we know Dinah works at the SCPD now. But that never came. It was a bit of a nitpick, because I didn't really expect the writers to explain it, to be perfectly honest, but it was just awesome to see him back in that suit. It's just so awesome, and obviously it gives me Season 1 and Season 2 flashbacks. Well, obviously when the show was like at really big heights, so that was probably why I loved seeing it, but it was so cool, and that fight scene was really awesome to see. And also this episode, at the very end, Oliver decides to go ahead solo with his quest to take down Ricardo Diaz. I'm really excited for this because it's really getting back to that Season 1 feel of Arrow, you know, the first few episodes when it was just Oliver on his own. So I'm really interested with that. I think the other members, you know, like Felicity and maybe Diggle, will help him out every now and then, but I think mainly it's just going to be Oliver in the Arrow Cave. Maybe Quentin will come along as well, considering that now at the end of the episode Oliver gets impeached and he is therefore removed as mayor of Star City, and Quentin obviously becomes the mayor, so maybe we'll see him in the Arrow Cave, you know, getting some guidance from Oliver. But as far as it goes with taking down Diaz, Oliver will probably do that on his own, which I'm really excited to see. And I'm very interested to see what Quentin will now do as mayor, because this was something that I was expecting the show to go through. And from what I've heard from a lot of rumours, apparently Quentin is going to die in episode 20 or 21, because rumour has it that he hasn't been filming for the season finale. So maybe we could see how that happens. But I'm just interested to see what he does with it, especially since, you know, Quentin's gone on this big journey from this, you know, cop at the SCPD to a drunk, and now he's the mayor of Star City. So I'm very interested to see what they're going to do with this character in the next few episodes. And then at the end scene, we of course have Ricardo Diaz and Black Siren, and they basically are now saying that because Oliver has now been removed as mayor, that the city is now free for taking over. And we know that next episode is going to be a Ricardo Diaz-centric episode, so we're going to see a lot of him in it, and apparently it's going to be an episode where he's going to be trying to take over the different areas of Star City's criminal underworld, so that'll be very interesting to see. Definitely intrigued to see how he's going to go about that, and how Oliver's going to stop him, you know, just on his own, so I'm really excited for next episode. In terms of negatives, I don't really have any. The only slight issue I had maybe was the way that Oliver snapped out of his vertigo trance, because Felicity comes over while Oliver's had that massacre at the start of the episode at the GCPD. We found out that was 10 hours after where the episode, you know, chronologically kicks off, and she breaks him out of that. I did find that a little bit anticlimactic, but it did work and it made sense, so I can't really fault it in that manner because it made sense with the story. Like if it was any other character, I don't really feel like it would have made a lot of sense. I just found it a little bit anticlimactic, but it's not really that big of an issue, in my opinion at least, for me to highlight it as a fault in the episode. So to rate this episode, I want to give it a 10, but I'm going to play it safe instead, and I'm going to go with a 9.5. Now, I could easily give this a 10 because, you know, Josh Segarra, Agent Chase is in the episode, and we all know I love him. But being realistic, I think there is room for improvement. I think there could potentially be episodes to come this season that could be better, hopefully. So if that is the case, I'm going to stick with a 9.5 rating. I think it's a good rating for this episode. It's easily the best episode of this season so far, in my opinion. I thought it was better than the Deathstroke two-parter just because it was such a good insight into Oliver and what he's thinking at the moment and how he's going to take down Diaz. So I really enjoyed this episode. I think most people will agree it's one of the best episodes of this season so far. So I'm starting to get a bit more excited now. Just please, Arrow, more episodes like this, please, till the end of the season. So thank you all for watching my review of Arrow Season 6 Episode 18 entitled Fundamentals. Of course, let me know in the comment section down below what you thought of this episode. And did you love Adrian Chase's return as much as I did? I think the only person who will enjoy that more than I did would be Declan McKinney. I'll be interested if he does a review of this episode because he's in it. But with that all being said, I would like to thank you all very much for watching the video. Give the video a like if you enjoyed what you saw, and if you are new to the channel, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And with that being said, hope to see you again next time.